People who received no or terrible sex education. What was the most wildly inaccurate thing you were taught or told about sex and sexual health? They taught us that if you have sex, you are dirty and disgusting. It became confusing to me as a child to be excited when someone announced they were pregnant. I thought it was only good if you ended up pregnant. That you can get pregnant from hugging and that you can get AIDS from kissing. It was 1999 when it had been proven that HIV was not spread through casual contact. My middle school teacher told the class that condoms were not effective at all for protecting against STDs and only worked 50% in stopping pregnancies, and that anyone who told you otherwise was a diseased pervert trying to trick you into sex. Abstinence teaching. Ladies and gentlemen, I always thought you were supposed to be really gentle with the penis. So my first time giving a hand job I had the lightest grip possible so I wouldn't hurt him. When he showed me just how tightly you should squeeze I was shocked lol. I also thought your period was supposed to be just a dot of blood. Hence the name period. Had a rude awakening with that one. Not me, but my sweet mate in college. Girls should jump up and down after sex to avoid pregnancy. Also, he told the girls to have an aspirin with Coke before or after sex to avoid pregnancy. They played a movie and said talk to your parents or preacher if you had questions. She graduated with 3 girls who had children already. So, yeah, all that jumping up and down didn't exactly work. Condoms are latex and latex is like a net, so all condoms are full of holes, so the only safe sex is married sex. We then all threw a giant sperm puppet through a basketball hoop to demonstrate how obviously useless condoms are. We also did the tape thing, the passing around of an unwrapped piece of candy, I shit you not. It was a cherry cordial Hershey's Kiss. Got shown slides of genitalia with untreated STDs. And got exactly 0 useful or even true information. Also, the giant sperm puppet was made out of a horrible orange and black quilting fabric and had googly eyes for some reason. My husband affectionately refers to my sense of style as gothstitute, so we can see how well that worked. My best friend thought you could only get pregnant when you were on your period, and that condoms only went on the tip of your dick. Her mom and dad literally never said anything about sex around her. It's surprising how many people, both male and female alike, think that women urinate from the same hole as you menstruate from. Also, for a long time I thought testicles could move around freely in the sack and switch sides whenever, until I tested it out on an unsuspecting boyfriend. I got confusion and disbelief and laughter. I'm just glad I didn't hurt him honestly. Stupid ancient technology. Balls need to go wireless. I was in life management class during my 10th grade year. We had just started a lesson on pregnancy when our teacher pulled out a picture diagram showing the difference between a baby developing after vaginal impregnation and anal impregnation. I inquired about the booty baby and our teacher claimed it was a result of anal sex, and said baby could but should not develop in the anus. I received absolutely no sex education. I was raised a religious fundamentalist. Married at 19 to a girl that was as ignorant as I was and lost our virginity on our wedding night. Married for 13 years. I learned what and where a clitoris was from my second sexual partner at the age of 32. Basically, sex equals your life is ruined and there's nothing you can do about it then. Little bit inaccurate. Not sure this counts, but when I was 10 and asked my mom what AIDS was, she said it happened when people had sex without protection. Fair enough. Except my little brain confused protection with permission, and that was what I thought AIDS was, for longer than I care to admit. That girls just pee out the semen. Like, no, you don't pee out of your vagina. That was in middle school. High school was more scare tactics. Every time you have sex with someone, you have sex with everyone else they had sex with. Also a lot of lessons about HIV and AIDS, but no other STIs. And a lot of misleading info about the effectiveness of various types of birth control. It was very much I won't tell you not to have sex, but I also won't tell you how to do it safely, how to prevent all of these horrible things I'm telling you about. I've heard that peeing after sex is useful to prevent getting a ooty. If you have sex in a hot tub, you can't get pregnant. When you go to sleep, your period stops. My friend also believed that girls only had their periods on the full moon cycle. These are things I had other people come to me about. Because they had no sex ed and I was the one friend who actually learned something from their parents. When you go to sleep, your period stops. God, I wish. I mean, I don't think this really counts, but my class made us watch the Lifetime movie She's Too Young, a movie about a high school that has a huge chlamydia outbreak, which made it seem like that was gonna happen to our school if we had any sex, so that I suppose. Our sex ed teacher also taught history and turned anal into a civil rights abuse. You know, the help had to enter through the back door back in the day, but Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. fought so y'all could enter through the front. So stay out of the back of the bus and park your you-know-what up front. Every guy I've dated has an "I have a dream" speech that contradicts this. My mum told me there was no such thing as ovulation when I was 9. To this day I haven't had the courage to ask her how she thinks I got here. Kinda late. But got a chip in here. I taught that a woman releases a special chemical in her brain right after sex that makes her attached to the man for the rest of her life. Because he made that happen. Only women though. And only your first. My parents were so hellbent on this that me and my mom often argued about it. She was adamant that I could barely know the guy, yet this would happen and it would ruin my life. She was that convinced as a teen. They didn't like my boyfriend and used this to say I won't know who he will grow up into. In high school you've known him only a few years. This will forever taint your life when you eventually get married, etc. Very strong belief they hold. Many other misconceptions as well, but that's the craziest. Others include, tampons cause infertility because the ovaries cannot air out. Having cold feet outside leads to infertility by freeze damage to the ovaries. Asterisk sex is a donation to a man, not at all something to share, as it can never truly be pleasurable for the woman. However, you're in luck because women happen to release a forever bonding chemical when she loses her virginity, so you won't mind doing what is needed to him. When do you have to? Women, girls do not discharge. It's either dry or period time. Freeze damage sounds like something straight from a RPG. Your ovaries received 32 freeze damage. My sex ed was cassette tapes of an old man basically just saying don't have sex before marriage. But one of the things he said was I grew up on a farm, and I learned all I needed to know about sex by watching the animals. I read in a book once that women either have their period on the full moon or the new moon. I actually believed this for years. Then one day I was out with my mom and I saw the full moon. I said, "I guess all you women are having a bad day today." She was like, "What do you mean?" "Because all women have their periods when the moon is full." She laughed. "We're not frickin' werewolves." Oh. Probably the biggest thing that f***ed me up was learning girls don't actually want sex. It's something they give up for guys they like. And guys who want sex from girls are manipulative assholes who aren't interested in girls' personalities. I blame movies and TV, and a lack of openness about the subject from my parents. Eventually though I learned that it's totally possible, as a guy, to both want sex and be a decent, respectful person. Another big one was that female sexuality isn't just centered around men. Girls have a sex drive too and have their own needs to fulfill. I had a bit of a wake-up call when a girlfriend told me I can just say I want to have sex instead of awkwardly trying to romance her with random compliments. I also realized I'd been under the impression that when she asked me if I want to have sex that she was telling me what she wanted, not offering to do me a favor. Went to Catholic school in South Texas. My sex ed was you are all too young to have sex. If you do you will be a sex offender for life. Then we learned about the legal problems of being a sex offender. Not totally wrong, but lots of girls had to leave when they ended up pregnant. Mine brought in and cut up condoms to show us how flimsy and useless they are. There were so many pregnant girls in my graduating class. Just look at how flimsy these are. Cuts condom with scissors. When I got my curse period for the first time I asked about tampons. It just seemed like it would be less messy than pads. Also, my periods were very inconsistent. I would go without one for a few months. Then have my period for 3 to 4 weeks in a row with heavy flow and terrible cramps. Tampons would have made life easier, but my mom insisted I couldn't use them because I was a virgin. SMH. My teacher would say, a glass of water is the best contraception. You don't drink it before or after sex. You drink it instead. First year of high school. In 2012, women can get pregnant by masturbating. See, when they masturbate, they start to create spermatozoon and they get pregnant. Mind blown.